Hello and welcome. I'm Andrew Dietz, and today we're joined by Randy Hatcher, CEO of MAU Inc., a pioneer in manufacturing and supply chain solutions for over half a century. In Randy's 2010 book, The Birth of a New Workforce, Randy introduced a groundbreaking model for optimizing any company's competitive position. But it's 15 years later now, and a lot's changed. Manufacturing and supply chain operations have transformed dramatically with changes in how and where people work, as well as dramatic and continuing changes in technology. Interestingly, other organizations now, like MIT and Deloitte Consulting, have introduced the workforce ecosystem model, which bears tremendous similarities to Randy's original concepts. And so I was curious to ask Randy and listen to his views on what's changed since he wrote his book, The Birth of a New Workforce, and how MAU is navigating these changes. So let's get to it. Randy, welcome.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's listening today. We're talking about a topic that's so important to every company that is concerned about remaining competitive. And when I think back to 2008, which was the backdrop for the 2010 book, and the recession of 2008 and the number of companies that went out of business, and I wondered if they could have gone back and done something differently, what could they have done to have avoided that threat, right? That's not changed. That has not changed. And today the threat for companies to remain competitive is more intense than ever before. And the number of companies great companies that go out of business every year, the numbers are staggering, right?
What do you think has changed? What's accelerated that or increased that competitive threat?
Yeah, I think what's changed is the complexity of operating a manufacturing company today. When I wrote my book, and I wrote about these three circles in the book that talk about what is your core and what is your non-core, non-critical, and what is your core critical. What are the processes in your company that are in each of those circles? When I thought about what was in our customers' circle, and that would be their core, what is it that makes them unique? Most of that circle was complete with full-time employees. Like, who are the full-time employees we need in that circle with us to help us innovate, stay creative, drive efficiencies in the operation? And now when I look in that circle of who's in that circle with a manufacturer, you have consultants, you have contractors, you have highly specialized technology app developers, because the new part of that circle for most manufacturers is technology. And now you have to do all the things you did in 2010 that I wrote about, but also integrating this new world of technology and trying to keep up with the speed of that makes it a lot more complicated, I think.
So the urgency to focus on that core for any company is just more important than ever.
Absolutely, and it is about focus, Andrew, when we talk about what's important. And when I wonder, the question that I ask myself sometime is, what is it that the senior executives of companies today go to bed thinking about at night? And my guess is those fears are the things that we can help them with if they're willing to let go of some of the things that they're holding on to now, some of the functions, some of the processes in their company that they're still clinging to. And my belief is when people are facing board of directors and they're facing quarterly earnings reports, they're thinking about their speed to market, they're thinking about the quality of their product, right? And they're thinking about the price compression. And that's what we want them to think about. And we want them to let us think about some of these other things that their customers aren't asking about, and their board is not asking about either.
So I get the non-core, non-critical, that really is a distraction in some ways from that core activity. Some of these others are very close to the core, although not core. Why is it important? What matters? Why does this matter now more than ever, perhaps, is the right question.
Yeah,
to take that activity and relieve the internal burden.
Well, when I think about it, we talked about how complex business is today and the speed of business. That's one of the reasons that you can't hold on to everything. But also I think there are other layers in companies where they think they have experimented in this area. There are other layers they haven't looked at. And one of them is in the war for talent. And one of our services is called RPO, and RPO is not new.
Recruitment process outsourcing.
Recruitment process outsourcing. I wonder sometime why a company thinks they can recruit better than a company that does it 365 days a year, 7 days a week, right, 24 hours a day, and keeps driving continuous improvements and all that. I really wonder about that. And so I look at that down in that non-core, non-critical, and that is still a function that many companies dedicate a lot of resources, a lot of people to, because it's important, right? That's the gatekeeper of the soul of the company, that recruitment team. But my belief is we have systems and processes and practices that are so much better than all of the companies that we're supporting, because they're not in the business, and we are.
Right.
It's our bread and butter.
That's your core.
It's
That's
our
what
core.
You're focused on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Randy, not only has the marketplace changed, and obviously your view has evolved on what companies need to do differently to succeed, but you've changed some things with MAU, including the recent launch of MAU Ascent, which includes, or is a suite of offerings that includes professional recruiting, recruitment process outsourcing, manufacturing process outsourcing for companies. It's a little toolkit, if you will. Is that an accurate description?
Yeah, or it's another arrow in the quiver, so to speak. And if you've got 5 arrows now, maybe we give you another 5 arrows that you can use in the world of being more competitive.
So Ascent gives companies a broader range of arrows, if you will, to apply, and the capacity to actually fire those arrows.
Absolutely. When I think about how we helped one of our customers back in the mid-90s, they were struggling with their largest customer who wanted them to keep producing a certain product. And they were 15 models later than this product.
Oh, wow.
And they needed to get their full-time employees over to this new product line, right? But in the meantime, their largest customer said, can't let go of production of that product that we need. And our offering to them was, let us run the old line for you. The production, let us run that, let us produce the product, let us ship it to Ford, right? And to be able to do that, I love that's what the president of this global company told me. He said, Randy, the biggest thing that you've done for me is you've given me another arrow in my quiver to be competitive with my customers.
Great, yeah. In a time of increasing complexity, you need more tools, not less.
Absolutely.
Great. Randy, if I'm a senior business person, what would be an example or a story you could share with me that would help me really understand and maybe even motivate me to want to let go of the reins when it comes to the non-core critical tasks?
Yeah, great question, Andrew. And let me first say, it's a crawl for most people, but it's a deliberate crawl. Like someone starts with a curiosity, just you might be hearing this story and say, I'm curious what this would look like for our company. And there was one of our long-term clients who was just a good staffing client. They always had lots of our contract workers there. And I always wondered why they spent so much time on things that were not important to them. And they paid a lot of money for those things too. All right, it had nothing to do with their product. And we started talking with them and just trying to ask for opportunity to say, could we try to do this for you? And so we started with this customer and just started in one little area, one little box, if you would, in their plant, and started managing finished product and putting it in special boxes and things. It was something that no one wanted to do. And yet they had full-time employees in there. They were paying a lot of money and benefits to do these things. And so we took a step into that world with them. And we started measuring things about every step in the process and established KPIs for those things. Well, that was the slow crawl, right? We started there. And then you fast forward 5 years later, and I'm talking to the plant manager of that plant, one of the largest plants for this company in all of North America, about 3,000 employees. And I asked him, I said, what has MAU done for you? And he said, Randy, and we were sitting in a big conference room, and he said, every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, I used to have 14 people sitting around this table. 14 report outs about what happened on the shift before, what were we going to do on this shift, and what were we going to do on second shift. He said, now I sit in that meeting at 7 o'clock, and there are 7 people. And those other 7 people are sitting in your meeting in the plant. And they're talking about how to drive improvements in all those areas, and that's 100% of their focus. And he said, so what you've given me time to really concentrate and focus on what's most important to my company, which is making my product better, faster, cheaper. So I thanked him for that. I said, you've given me the best testimonial of anything I could ask for. And it really, that is what we're all about. How do we help a company make their product better, faster, cheaper?
So Randy, I understand how the innovative models you're talking about with regard to how companies now can gain competitive advantage in manufacturing, supply chain operations. I get how what you do and what you're suggesting can help with focus. I get how it can help with cost reduction. How does it help with innovation, the other key to staying competitive these days?
Most competitive companies are always experimenting. They have trial projects, they have pilot projects. And that's where we've been able to really scratch an itch for many of our customers. Two stories I think of is one in the food and beverage industry of being able to plug into part of the supply chain for a number of years with a client and help them deliver products and services to their outlets in key distribution areas. And our client had no idea whether this innovation would work. And the last thing that they wanted to do was distract their own employees or hire full-time employees to come in and manage this. And when the project didn't work, then what are they going to do with them? And so to be able to come in and pilot projects like this for companies and say, could we bring someone in and they could run the whole project? And one other story with a tractor manufacturer who had a new pilot project of a new tractor, and they had no idea whether it would be successful. And so we set up a building off-site from their manufacturing plant, and we assembled the tractor for them for 3 years and distributed it to all of their dealers across the country. And they would have had to bring people out of the plant to do it, or they would have to take this tractor and put it inside a current plant. But to do that, they're making a long-term commitment, right? So this was a way to use a partner to say, let's let our partner run the pilot project for 2 years, or as it turned out to be 3 years. And then ultimately the project was successful, the product did sell, and they incorporated it into their main operation. So to me, that part of their innovation, we're able to come alongside someone and enable that innovation, if you would, and help the speed to market and the difficulty of getting to the market be a lot less.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Randy, just wrapping up, what advice would you give senior executives in major manufacturing and supply chain organizations about how to respond to become substantially more competitive in the current conditions?
To me, it has to be just such a challenging time for these senior leaders who are running these companies. Things are so complex, things are moving so fast. And my encouragement would be for a leader who's curious in this area to take that step and have a conversation. I'd love for you to have a conversation with us, with our company, and just talk about what are some of the issues that you're facing that you don't have solutions for yet. Or when you think about your speed to market and your top competitor's speed to market or their price, you're concerned about yours comparing and you need help with that. And I'm always excited to see someone say, could we just talk about it, right? Could we just talk about it? And that's where most of our relationships start, with no commitment. Just tell me some stories. Let me tell you some of my stories, and let us tell you some of our stories. And let's see if we can't work together to come up with a better model than you have, and just get started with something, right? Take that, as I mentioned, that customer back in the early 80s, they took a crawl, right? They took a crawl into this space of letting a partner come in and start to handle some of the things that they'd held on to for so long.
Great. Randy, thank you so much for your time and insights, and to our audience, we really appreciate your time and listening. And we welcome the chance to talk to you directly about this more.